Hello, this is D, and I'm back with another video. Well, yesterday, FTC lost against Microsoft. The judge denied their preliminary injunction. Now, we were pretty much thinking it was all over. The CMA actually agreed to meet with Microsoft, and Microsoft actually stopped their appeal process to negotiate with the CMA. Now, after hours, we heard that the CMA and Microsoft came to some type of deal where they were able to work it out with the cloud. Now, this morning, things are starting to change. We're hearing some new things from the CMA, and we're also hearing some other things from the FTC. So we're gonna get right into it. And on the screen, as you can see, this is one of the biggest haters of the deal. Now, he goes on to say the FTC says in coming days, they will be announcing the next steps in continuing to fight, and they're disappointed with the decision of the judge whose son works for Microsoft. Now, first off the bat, they never said anything about the judge's son working for Microsoft in their press release. So I just want to add that. And we are also going to get into the judge and her son later on in today's video. We're going to cover a lot of things today. And before I get into all of it, I just want to ask you guys to please like the video, subscribe if you haven't already. Now, this is coming from Politico, and of course, like usual, I'm going to leave everything in the link in the description down below. Now, they go on to say that the FTC is disappointed in this outcome given the clear threat this merger poses to the open competition in cloud gaming subscription services and consoles, said the agency spokesperson Douglas Farrar. In the coming days, we'll announce our next step in continuing the fight to preserve competition and protecting consumers. So the FTC is actually thinking about an appeal. This is ridiculous. It really is. And the salt from some of the fans is also ridiculous. Now, the post says, why are Xbox fans so triggered and having a complete meltdown when anyone mentions the judge who ruled in favor of Microsoft-Activision case has a son who literally works for Microsoft? This isn't a conspiracy. It's a fact. The crying just means it's gonna keep getting mentioned. So this guy's just on some trolling stuff, and we're gonna address this. I'm gonna address this right now. Now, the FTC actually wanted this judge. Microsoft did not want this judge. Now, the judge at the beginning of the hearing told the FTC that she does have a son that works at Microsoft. The FTC wanted to continue on with the case. In their complaints after the case, like the verdict, this is not mentioned that the judge has a son that works for Microsoft. Now, I know there's some other watchdog group that is mentioning this, but the FTC had the option of going with a different judge. The judge was transparent and said that her son works at Microsoft. Furthermore, her son doesn't work in any department that is directed towards Xbox. So he works in a completely different part of Microsoft, and this case is not going to have any effect on him either way. And once again, the FTC chose this judge. And they were also made aware from the beginning that this judge had a son that worked for Microsoft, and they could have asked her to recuse herself, or they could have said, we want to take it to another judge. They didn't. They went ahead with the case. And once again, Microsoft did not want this judge. Microsoft wanted a different judge. So it is what it is. If they try to appeal, this will not be a reason for the appeal. And furthermore, the appeal will not be granted. Now, this is coming from Bloomberg, and it's like a pay site, so I'm just going to have to read it out to you. But they say the U.S. Federal Trade Commission is leaning towards appealing the federal judge's ruling against the agency's bid to block Microsoft Corporation's $69 billion acquisition of Activision Blizzard Incorporated, according to a person familiar with the case. No final decision has been reached, but an appeal could be filed as soon as Wednesday, said the person who asked not to be named because they weren't authorized to discuss this confidential information. So today is Wednesday as I'm posting this video, and I really don't think that the FTC is going to file an appeal. Their grounds just wouldn't be granted. The judge was pretty thorough in her ruling. She said that the FTC didn't prove their case. They did it to the contrary. They actually proved that Call of Duty is going to be available to more consumers, which is the best thing for the consumers. We know throughout the trial that the FTC was defending Sony's interests. It was so bad that at one point in time, the judge had to say, hey, it's not about Sony, it's about the consumer. I freaked out when she said that because that made me know that she is aware of what truly is going on. Now, when you look at the judge's ruling, it's pretty airtight. I don't see how any judge is going to grant the FTC the appeal. And I think they know that. And I think they're just playing a tactic now. And I think it kind of coincides with what's going on with the CMA. And we're going to get into that a little bit later. But I'm going to read some of what Judge Corley said. And she said that the FTC's heavy reliance on Jim Ryan's testimony is unpersuasive, and that Microsoft's Call of Duty deals for Nintendo Switch and Cloud are perhaps bad for Sony, but good for Call of Duty gamers and future gamers. Now, this was in her ruling. We also saw in her ruling that the FTC couldn't provide information on how it came with its 20% of gamers that would leave the PlayStation in favor of the Xbox if Call of Duty was removed. They could not provide this evidence. The numbers are all there. So an appeals judge will look at this and it will get tossed out with the quickness. Also, Lina Khan has to go in front of Congress tomorrow. I don't think she wants this appeal looming over her head as she faces Congress, because they're going to have some hard-hitting questions for her. And reports are that Congress wants documents that Lina Khan does not want to provide. So she's already on the hot seat. So I think this is all a big talk. I don't think we're going to see the FTC appeal it here. Most times the FTC, they just walk away. And I think this is a case where they're going to walk away again. Now, if they do appeal this, then we know that they are a glutton for pain, because it's going to get denied. And that organization is going to be even more embarrassed and lose more of its prestige. This is the time you need to just hold your head down, take the L, and walk away. And I really do believe that that's what's going to happen. Now, if it changes, of course, I'm going to come out with a video, or I'm going to just tweet it out and I'll let you guys know. Now, the judge's temporary order, it goes away on Friday. So at Friday at midnight, if the FTC doesn't appeal, Microsoft can close this deal. So I just want to clear something up here. I said yesterday that Call of Duty could be on Game Pass this year. Apparently, this is not the case. It wouldn't be until 2025, as they do have a present agreement with Sony, and Microsoft said they are going to honor these agreements. So we wouldn't see this until 2025, and it's very unfortunate. Now, Sony's marketing deal doesn't allow Call of Duty to be inside of Game Pass. So this just shows you how ruthless Sony is. So Microsoft, they can't market Call of Duty, and they also cannot have it in their Game Pass service. Is what it is, but in 2025, we will see the new Call of Duty games day and date. Now, the old Call of Duty games, I do believe those can go into Game Pass, hopefully as soon as this deal closes. Now, let's go over to the CMA, and it's just unbelievable. Now, last night before I was going to bed, there was a report that came out that Microsoft and the CMA, they came to some agreement, and there was going to be a small divestiture, I think that's how you say the word, regarding the cloud gaming. So I don't know what exactly that would be, but that was the word. A lot of sites were reporting this. Now, this morning, we're hearing information that this deal could face further investigation. Now, this is coming from The Verge, and like usual, it's going to be linked in the description down below. Now, it goes on to say that the UK Competition and Markets Authority, CMA, is throwing caution over the idea of quick resolutions to its concerns around Microsoft's proposed Activision Blizzard acquisition. Microsoft and the UK regulators were extremely quick to issue statements over their intention to pause the Activision battle to negotiate after Microsoft won a key FTC legal fight yesterday. But now the UK regulator says Microsoft's proposal may lead to new merger investigations. In a statement to The Verge supplied by CMA media officer Billy Prudlock, the regulator warns that the discussions with Microsoft are at an early stage. While the merging parties don't have the opportunity to put forward new remedies once a final report has been issued, they can choose to restructure a deal, which can lead to a new merger investigation. Microsoft and Activision indicate that they are considering how the transaction might be modified, and the CMA is prepared to engage with them on this basis. These discussions were made at an early stage, and the nature and timing of the next steps will be determined in due course. While both parties are requested to pause in Microsoft's appeal to allow these discussions to take place, the CMA decision set out in its final report still stands. So, to me, they're just playing a game here. You're seeing now that the FTC might possibly appeal their case, And now you're taking a different stance. Now you're not so eager to make a deal with Microsoft, and you're saying that if we restructure the deal, we can do a whole new investigation period, which would obviously slow down the CAT tribunal, which is on the 28th of July, which would kind of coincide with the FTC's court case in August, because it looks like the FTC is still going to go ahead with its court case. Microsoft can close the deal if their appeal is not filed or is not granted, but at that court case, if the FTC wins, they can impose some fines. Now, I don't think the FTC is going to win at that case. They're going to lose badly because the evidence just doesn't support their claims. And the judge's ruling supports that. Now, the FTC, I don't know what is going on over there. Take your L. It's unbelievable. This is getting really political now. It's not about the consumers. It's about showing power. Because if they were really about the consumers, they would look at the judge's ruling and see that they got it wrong, because it was written very clear and precise, and the FTC did not prove its case. It's unbelievable. Now, at this point in time, I would negotiate with the CMA for a little bit and try to work a deal out. If you see they're trying to get too funny, forget them. Finalize the deal in the US and just take it to the CAT tribunal, because I know the CAT tribunal, it's going to be in favor of Microsoft, because once again, the evidence doesn't support the CMA's arguments. It's ridiculous. And now all of a sudden, all these fanboys are coming out of the woodworks again. Yesterday, they were gone. Now today, they're talking about, oh, this deal is going to get blocked. This deal is going to get blocked again. They're going to get this appeal. They're not going to get an appeal if the FTC tries to secure one. I'm really confident that no appeal will be secured by the FTC, and I don't even think that they're going to try to get one. Now, this new argument that the judge's son somehow has a bias over the judge because her son works for Microsoft is ridiculous. Let's talk about the Sony bias over at the CMA. That guy used to work for the firm that is handling Sony's affairs right now. So let's not even go there. And once again, the judge let the FTC know that her son works for Microsoft. The FTC chose this judge, not Microsoft. Microsoft wanted a different judge. Now, Tom Warren had something to say about this subject. Now, he goes, suddenly there's a lot of chatter about Judge Corley's son working at Microsoft and how she could have recused herself because of a potential conflict of interest. Judge Corley initially disclosed this in the so-called gamers lawsuit early this year, and again at the very start of the FTC versus Microsoft case. It's worth pointing out that the FTC specifically wanted to file its temporary restraining order and preliminary injunction in the Northern District of California because of the gamers lawsuit, whereas Microsoft wanted the District of Columbia. Either way, the FTC hasn't complained about a potential conflict of interest. At the heart of the issue is whether it violates the judge's code of conduct. The Revolving Door Project, a watchdog group, wrote to Judge Corley last month calling on her to recuse. It comes down to whether Judge Corley's son would be substantially affected by the outcome of the ABK acquisition. He's working at a company with 200,000 plus employees in a non-managerial position that is not related to Xbox, so it's unlikely he would be substantially affected. There's plenty of previous cases, law involving magistrate judges, that suggest it shouldn't matter, and remember, the FTC specifically wanted this case heard here because of Judge Corley's involvement in the gamers lawsuit, a case that was randomly reassigned to her early this year after Judge Vince Kahabara recused himself. The question is whether the FTC decides to raise this at an appeal, but I'd be surprised if they do. And once again, I don't think they're gonna raise this at an appeal if they decide to do one, because they knew all of this from the start. And they're the ones that chose this judge. And there's a history of this happening in the courts before, and it's not against the law. Maybe if he worked in the Xbox division, then I could see a true conflict of interest. But he doesn't. He doesn't work in any of those departments. Honestly, it just reeks of desperation of the FTC. They just don't want to take their L. They came out of that court case looking bad. It's not a good look for the FTC. Once again, Lina Khan has to face Congress tomorrow. This is not a good look for Lina Khan. The CMA, they're trying to play games here. And I know what they're saying because I guess legally, technically, it could trigger a new investigation. But let's just get this deal done. You're the one that reached out to Microsoft to try to negotiate a deal here. So get it done, because this is good for consumers. This is good for the UK. This deal is good for business, it's good for gamers, it's good for everybody involved. So it's in the CMA's best interest to come to an agreement with Microsoft. And I really do hope in the next few days that we do have this happen. Now, of course, when this happens, I'll give you guys an update on the situation, but I want to know what you guys think. We got a lot of information today. The FTC is thinking about appealing this case. Like I said, I don't know why they would try to do that. The judge wrote her ruling. It's pretty clear. The FTC didn't have any evidence supporting its claim. It wasn't even close. Now, the CMA, they're kind of playing games with Microsoft right now. I think it's in their best interest that they just get this deal done, because I do believe at the CAT tribunal, they're also going to lose, and they're probably going to come out looking a lot worse than the FTC. As for the judge and her son, the FTC was aware of this. The FTC also wanted this judge. The FTC didn't choose another judge after this information was made available. So once again, I don't think this is going to be an issue. I don't think this is something they can bring up if they file an appeal. And regarding their appeal, I don't think they're going to do it. So we'll pretty much know by the end of today, tomorrow, if the FTC is going to appeal. I think this is just a bunch of talk, trying to look tough. I think they have some bigger problems right now within their own organization, because everyone that they've tried, they have failed in court. And now they have to face Congress. Now, if I give you guys my honest opinion, I think by Monday, Tuesday next week, this deal is finalized, it's signed, and it's a thing of the past. Anyways, I want to know what you guys think, so let me know in the comment section down below. And like I usually say, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys on the next one.